The Freddy video is what blew up. Let's go and watch that. Because I also think Freddy's a failure, a complete failure of a character. You want to talk about failed characters? We're talking about failed characters like Skull Merchant. Yeah, Freddy is a bust, and he's a licensed character. He's an IP. He's a bust. Yeah, they screwed him up big time. That made a huge difference how many kills there were. Yep. It's almost like you should just control map seed. It's crazy.
Freddy has never received a single buff in all of Dead by Daylight history, meaning that in behavior's eyes, he has as overpowered as the Nurse and the Blight. Hello everyone.
No cosmetic. Yep.
I'm going to be talking about Freddy's.
Both him and Quentin just have the well, Quentin at least has like the alternative shirt. Like Freddy only has P3 and that's it.
History in Dead by Daylight,
P6,
and how he's
P6
seemingly
now.
been abandoned by both behavior and the license holder, and is now left in the worst state of any licensed killer. On October 26, 2017, Dead by Daylight introduced its 6th chapter, A Nightmare on Elm Street, but little did Behavior know that this chapter would truly be their biggest nightmare.
Video, hey Angel, how's it going? Apparently he's very new to content creating, so we should support them.
Freddy Krueger is considered to be one of the classics of the slasher killer genre, along the legends of Ghostface, Michael Myers, Pinhead, and even Leatherface. He's without a doubt one of the classics of the genre and would be a perfect fit for a game like Dead by Daylight, considering another legend, Michael Myers, was already in the game at the time and would already be an instant hit, so why not add another legend? Almost 1 year later after Michael Myers was added to the game, Freddy Krueger and A Nightmare on Elm Street was added. However, many fans who wished for this chapter and killer didn't know that they wished upon the monkey's paw, and the entire DLC would be cursed from the start.
Yeah, it really is cursed.
Now, let's start from Freddy's original power. Freddy would hold out an orange beam that, when in contact with a survivor, would slowly make them become drowsy and fall asleep. After 7 seconds, the survivor would fall asleep and no longer be able to hear Freddy's terror radius, and would suffer from a whopping 50% action speed penalty to all actions.
Which is a lot.
There were a few ways that the survivor could wake up, either by failing a skill check while being healed, or failing a skill check while on a generator, or being hooked. While asleep, outside of Freddy's terror radius, Freddy could see their aura and they would be revealed to him. While a survivor is awake, the survivor could not be grabbed nor injured by Freddy.
Yeah, which is crazy.
While they were awake, survivors could see Freddy flicker in and out of reality instead of being able to see him at any distance. Now, I'm sure that you, my astute viewer, can see the plethora of glaring issues with this kit, so let's start from the most obvious one. The fact that while awake, Freddy cannot interact with survivors at any point.
Yep.
This is definitely a killer whose power is cool in concept, but in execution fails horribly. Since Freddy needs to put survivors to sleep, this gives the survivors more than enough time to run away and get to a safe area, since they could both hear the terror radius and then get a 7-second chance to go in any direction.
Yeah, you think sprint burst? You think like Andes who sit on their gen all up until a sprint burst, like you get close and they sprint burst away is already a bad. Imagine like just having 7 seconds where they can just run naturally to anything. You just have to wait mandatory 7 seconds and just wait for them to get to Shaq. Wait for them to get to like some of the absurd loops that existed in the game back then. Like, whew, Page.
And start running to loops. And back then, loops were way stronger with pallet vacuums and instant vaults, meaning that Freddy had a horrible time actually securing downs. Next is the fact that survivors get a huge 50% action speed penalty, which to this day is still the biggest slowdown in Dead by Daylight history, rivaled only by Hex Pentamento's 30% reduction to certain actions under certain requirements. Whereas Pentimento, you need survivors to break totems and then restore them and get individual buffs one by one, Freddy just got a flat 50% reduction just by using his power, which is insane by today's standards. Back in the old days of Dead by Daylight, this was, I guess, allowed to pass, since survivors didn't really care much gen slowdown and stuff like that.
Yeah, because like, you gotta think about it, like, that's a big number, but like, Chaos is saying, like, you could easily undo that. Just like, hop on a gen for like 3 seconds, and then you're, fail a skill check, you're good. Right? You're just fine.
No way something like that would pass now. And now the final part, that being the counterplay to this power. There's none. The only way you could get out of his power is literally to fuck up and reveal where you are with a failed skill check. You already are performing actions much slower, but now you need to mess up a skill check or get hooked in order to wake up, thus losing progress and alerting the killer to your position. It makes no sense that you or your teammates need to mess up in order to start waking each other up. There's also the fact that Freddy has 0 chase potential. Unlike our modern iteration of Freddy, he didn't have traps or anything of the sort, so all he could do is just run at you and nothing else, making him
which is fine, because like we've seen now that if like with Skull Merchant, who's just a basic 115 M1 killer, if you have the rest of their kit actually like pretty okay, then you can have a killer that's just a normal 115 gamer, but you know the rest of their power is so like fleshed out that it can be okay.
Chase killers in all of Dead by Daylight. Now let's look at his perks, and all of them are honestly very, very mediocre. Fire Up is one of the worst buffing perks in the game and was actually buffed, but still isn't in a good spot at all.
Yep.
Fire Up works that when survivors complete a generator, you got an action speed buff to basically all actions: kicking generators, kicking pallets, picking up survivors, and vaulting. However, even at max stats, it doesn't come close to Brutal Strength, which is a free teachable perk since it comes to the Trapper, or Bamboozle, as that gives extra vault speed and blocks the window.
Yep.
This perk buffs kick speeds, but considering that at the end game when this perk would actually get some good numbers, all pallets would be broken by then due to the fact that you've been chasing survivors and they've been dropping pallets.
That's still its issue, by the way. That's still its issue. Is like it's a perk you have to lose to get value out of. And by the time it's actually like operating on all cylinders, like you've pretty much lost the game anyway. And like the easy way to like buff perks like this is to just like not necessarily double the value, but just give more value. Like make these numbers higher. Because like there was a patch very similar perk as coup de grace, which gives you a longer lunge for each time a gen is completed. There was a patch where coup de grace broke, and it actually gave 2 stacks per gen completed, and it was actually like a semi alright perk. Like it wasn't winning games, but it was actually like a nice B tier perk. But then they fixed it, and it was like I feel like because like you were getting at least 2 lunges per gen, which was like actually pretty nice. But then they just brought it back down. So you gotta make the perk a little bit more potent in terms of its numerics if you're gonna want it. If you're gonna wanna, you know, have it be a thing.
You can't kick generators since all of them are completed. So this perk really only has some value in the mid game and none in the beginning or the end game. Or you could just bring Bamboozle or Brutal Strength and just get a much better perk.
Yep.
Next up is Remember Me, and this perk is kind of decent, honestly. With every hit on the Obsession,
really.
It makes the exit gates take longer to open, for everyone except
builds.
the Obsession, who still opens it at normal speeds. This perk was kind of good until the Trickster was added and added an objectively better teachable perk,
yep.
That being No Way Out. That one is just objectively better and straight up blocks the exit gates from being opened, and there's no catch such as Remember Me's Obsession being able to still open up the exit gates at normal speed.
Yep.
Remember
That's why
Me
it wasn't
is good with No Way Out in combination, but by itself, it's honestly more forgettable than it is rememberable. And finally, we have Freddy's best perk. But
100. Matt, I think it literally just give it extra stacks. That's it.
Still not.
That's all you need to do to coup.
Blood
It'll be a nice perk.
Blood Warden makes it so that when you hook a survivor while the exit gates are open, the exit gates are blocked for 60 seconds, and any survivors who are in the exit gate area have their auras revealed. Now, back in the old days of Dead by Daylight, there was no endgame collapse. Survivors would just open the gates instead of 99 them and open them at the last second. Since this perk only activates when the exit gates are opened and not powered, this perk is borderline useless unless the survivors are all teabagging at the exit and you have a way to make it so they can't escape, like shooting them with the Deathslinger. This perk made it so that when you hook a survivor while the gates are powered and then the exit gates would immediately block upon opening, this perk would be so good. But alas, it only activates when the gates are open.
It's one of those questions like, do you want Blood Warden to be good? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like it was when Boilover was buffed. Remember Boilover was like super strong when they first adjusted it? And it was just like obnoxious and abused by so many different players. Do we want a world where like Blood Warden is like consistently brought? Is that a thing we want? Yeah, like Blood Warden you could already like get like you could turn a match around from like a 1k to like a 3 or 4k. Yeah, so I don't know. I definitely don't think Blood Warden is. I don't know. I feel like Blood Warden is a nice like gimmick trick perk that once you get that trick to go off, it's really really fun and great. But I don't know if I want it to be a perk in normal rotation. Yeah, its uniqueness is what I like about it. I don't like that it. I don't want the idea of Blood Warden being a consistently like. Yeah, this is just a consistent brought perk that's just good now. You know.
So this perk is very niche. Now, honestly, who is this DLC marketed to? See, Freddy is one of the classics of the genre, so you don't want to mess up the license, as this is where the real money is at. However, the license holders did not give Behavior the original Freddy, but instead they got the license for the poorly received 2010's reboot of A Nightmare on Elm Street Freddy, who was made to be much more edgy than his original goofy counterpart. Now, I won't put any fault on Behavior for this one, as they don't really get to control what to do with the killer, since if the license holder don't agree on it, then it's a no-go. And at the time, Dead by Daylight was a much smaller game and definitely didn't have the bargaining power that they would now.
Yep.
But if we look at past and present licenses, all of them are their classic counterparts. Myers, Ghostface, Leatherface, Sadako, Pyramid Head.
He's not. He's an original character. He's an original character. Ghostface is an original character. That's not true.
Etc., etc. My point is that for all of them, they all get their classic versions of themselves, thus bring—
They don't, though. This isn't Stu. This isn't Billy. This is an original character.
In the audience that they want. But for Freddy, they're trying to get the classic Nightmare on Elm Street fans, but it's no longer the goofy Freddy who toys and taunts his prey, but is an edgelord now. So classic fans won't really
Best voice line of the game. He really would.
New fans are few and far between due to the movie's poor reviews and the fact that his backstory is made to be, well, not pleasant compared to what we had.
Yep.
He went from this to this.
Oh.
So what brings you out here today?
Oh.
Well, I was
Oh,
coming out here.
EDP. Oh.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake and then go back home.
We're not going down that
finally,
rabbit hole.
we have the
You can look
actual
into it
player base,
yourself.
The gamers who are actually buying and playing the DLC, but his kit is both—
I don't know. Like, I don't even find that funny. Like, not like dissing the creator or anything, but like, that's just an unfortunate situation. That's like really gross and disgusting that even happened. It's just
you play as.
Yeah, like I said,
and
that's a rabbit hole you can go down.
So who's the DLC for? It's like if we got a Scooby-Doo DLC, and instead of getting the classic gang we all know and love, we got the reboot Velma cast.
Yeah,
nobody would want that.
That's
Classic
a good example.
Fans
Yeah.
don't get the original Freddy, so they wouldn't be happy with it. New fans don't like the new edgy character and the way his character was handled, so they don't want to play as him. And the actual players of DBD don't want to play him, since his kit is still to this day one of the worst ever designed.
Yep.
Worse than even the Skull Merchants. She
That doesn't
can
work for
at least hit
anybody.
survivors whenever she wants and not have to wait 7 seconds before hitting them.
Yep.
Now let's cover his post-release and beyond.
Ooh.
Presently, Freddy has only ever received nerfs since his release and has never gotten a single buff, meaning that he is one of the only killers to never get a buff in history.
Hey, he got a buff recently. He can put his snares on the other side of loops now. He got a buff. That's not true anymore. They buffed him. You used to not be able to put your snares on the other side of objects. Now you can. They shadow buffed him. There's a buff there.
By the nurse.
There you go.
But that's the nurse. Do I have to say more? Nerfs to speed while using his power, nerfs for how long it takes for survivors to go to sleep, nerfs his add-ons, but for some reason, the action speed penalty was never nerfed. Oh, but on the wiki it says he got a buff and survivors are now oblivious while asleep. Well, in actuality, this is not a buff at all, rather a new gameplay mechanic that was added in that patch. In that patch, Undetectable and Oblivious were added retroactively to kits, just like how the Pig now has Undetectable while crouched, and Myers got Undetectable on Tier 1, and Wraith is Undetectable while cloaked. Before then, they did not have those status effects. So this was not a buff. All it was them just adding a new status effect that he basically already had base kit. At this point, things were looking bleak for Freddy. His pick rate was rapidly declining, people didn't want to buy the DLC, Behavior had to do something to appease the license holders, and that's what they did by completely remaking his power. In his rework, instead of having to put survivors to sleep, they would over time slowly fall asleep or instantly fall asleep when being hit. Yes, they made it so that Freddy could now attack survivors at any time instead of having to wait a few seconds and giving the survivors a head start. While asleep, survivors no longer suffered an action speed penalty, but could now be affected by one of Freddy's 2 dream powers. That being the dream snares, which were traps Freddy placed around that slows.
I still think if you want to do something really small to make him like a little bit better without breaking him, just let him have both. Give him like a stance switch like Doctor used to have, where he can switch between throwing pallets down and throwing snares down. I feel like that would just be because it's kind of like Clown almost, right? Like because Clown had the same situation back where like he only had the slow bottles. and he was one of the weakest killers in the game, right? But he still wasn't fun to face. But then they gave him yellow bottles, so he has a little bit of utility. He has a little bit of skill to him now. And it's like he's more fun to play, and there's a little bit more to his kit. Like, I feel like you just like give him like a little stance switch where you can put down fake pallets and snares. He would be a little bit better without breaking the character.
When they walk over them, or dream pallets, which were illusionary pallets that survivors could see while asleep. And Freddy can now also teleport to any uncompleted generator. Along with the same ways to wake up, they added alarm clocks around the map that survivors could wake up for a while and pause the sleep timer temporarily.
Yeah, so no number of add-ons would need a rework. I mean, yeah, but like, I don't even know if a significant number. What do you mean a significant number? I know there are the add-ons that give him that allow him to have dream pallets, but you could just change like those ones. And also, his add-on is terrible anyway. He has some of the worst add-ons in the game. He has some of the worst add-ons in the game. So like, oh no, we have to rework his add-ons again? Yeah, he has some of the worst add-ons in the game. Literally only like paintbrush is viable. That's it. Everything else is like dog. I mean, you can get some fun tricks out of Black Box, but that's it. Like, his add-ons are terrible. So, oh no, we have to rework the add-ons. Oh no.
However, there are still many issues. Notice the fact that I said one of two, meaning that Freddy can't utilize both of his powers, like how the clown can switch between his two bodies.
We were just talking about this.
For some reason, Freddy can only use either Dream Snares or the Dream Pallets.
Just give him both.
The Dream Pallets are an add-on that, if you bring, replaces his Dream Snares entirely for the match.
Which you know, despite them being the more fun add-on, the more fun power is worse. You have to bring an add-on to play a worse version of your character. That is not a meme add-on. It's not intended as a, hey, you get more blood points for doing this add-on. You literally bring an add-on that's meant to be quote-unquote good to play the game as a nerfed version of your character.
To the max amount of pallets or snares you could have at a time, because I guess he needs that. After his rework,
snares are objectively better. Like the value you get out of, I feel like the value you get out of pallets is more in your face. So it seems like you do, but like the value you get out of snares is way more. Like consistently, it's always going to be snares. Snares will always be better.
Penalty. And while they were not as bad as the original power of 50%, it was closer to about 15%. And of course, those got nerfed, as around this time is when DBD started shaping into what we have today. So a free 15% action speed penalty is no bueno, and later on got nerfed and then reworked into something else.
Yeah, these add-ons are useless.
As you can probably tell by now,
they went from OP to just
anything
pointless.
Good for long, and if something was too strong, it would just instantly get nerfed.
Like, look at this. This is a purple add-on. A purple add-on for louder footsteps? Brother, Huntress gets a louder grunts of pain add-on as a brown add-on. You have a purple and a green that are making things louder? Huntress has it as a brown add-on. What are we doing? My God.
And later on got nerfed and then reworked into something else. As you can probably tell by now, Freddy genuinely never gets anything good for long, and if something was too strong, it would just instantly get nerfed. Along with that, he got another nerf that made it so that if you use the alarm clock, even getting hit by Freddy, which would instantly put you to sleep, no longer does anymore, and basically gave you a free 30-second immunity to any form of sleep at all. I genuinely don't understand why this nerf was added, other than someone's giant hate boner for Freddy. Now, honestly, the most depressing thing I found about this entire chapter is the fact that he still has no cosmetics. None at all.
Yep.
Neither Freddy nor Quentin have anything. Besides the bloody cosmetics, but those don't count since literally every other character gets them. It's just mandatory. Now, I'm not someone who buys cosmetics often since I'm broke, but it's more of the principle. The fact that the license holders don't give him any love to the chapter, as literally every other chapter and every other character in the game has at least one cosmetic. The Resident Evil characters all have cosmetics, and even unique ones to Dead by Daylight.
Yep.
Like the Blighted skins. Pyramid Head also has a Blighted skin, Pig has multiple outfits, Bubba has multiple outfits and masks, Meyer has a gown outfit, etc.
He's also, they also don't add shit for him either.
Every other killer has gotten love and cosmetics, but Freddy is still left in the dust and has nothing. It's truly depressing how when a killer gets no love from the devs, they obviously won't get anything, just like the twins or Hattie. But the fact that not even the license holders want to give love to Freddy and give him cosmetics or tell him to buff him, he's just slowly been left to fizzle out, and that's what's happening with him. With him having the lowest pick rate out of any Dead by Daylight licensed killer. Even Demogorgon, who you can't purchase anymore, has a
That's so
higher
sad.
pick rate than
That's
Freddy.
so sad.
One thing I forgot to mention
You can't
is
even
how-
buy that guy anymore. He's played more. You can't even buy the other guy anymore, and he has a higher. You can't even buy the other guy anymore, and he has a higher pick rate. Oh, that's Paige. Fred's rework soon TM, soon TM.
How Freddy back in the old days had one complete counter to him, something that would make him literally unplayable, something that would make it so that if you use this one perk, Freddy could not beat you ever. That being Object of Obsession. Old Object would show the killer's aura to you while outside of their terror radius.
Old Object was
and
crazy.
Due to him not having one while asleep, that meant that survivors could 24/7 see his aura at all times, meaning that he could not win any mind games whatsoever.
Nope.
This made it so that any sort of loop that had a tall wall and had mind games like the TL wall, you just couldn't win, because you could permanently see where he is at all times. There was nothing you could do. There was nothing Freddy could do. You just kind of had to lose.
Yep.
But now, let's talk about why he still, even after the rework, has one of the worst powers in all of Dead by Daylight. He has the ability to teleport to uncompleted generators, so once they're completed, he can't go to them anymore. Unlike Demogorgon, who can teleport anywhere as long as he places portals, Dredge, who can always teleport around to lockers, or Sadako, who can teleport to TVs even if the generators...
Would it be bad if he could just teleport to completed gens? I don't think it would be. I think it'd be fine. Just let him teleport to completed gens. Who cares? Not a big deal.
them are completed, meaning that as the match goes on, he slowly gets worse and worse and loses his power.
With him teleporting to gates, that would be sick. And thematic to his perks. That would be really cool. I'd actually be down for that.
He loses out on potential teleport spots or anything like that. He just, over time, gets worse. No other killer is really like that, except maybe Myers.
Yep,
since
Myers.
Some survivors can run out of
Yeah,
the
Myers.
stall.
Yeah, Myers is. That's why Myers is like one of the weakest characters in the game. It's because he's one of the few characters that can literally run out of his power, which is crazy.
Energy. Next are his dream snares, which are objectively the worst traps in all of Dead by Daylight. Comparing them to bear traps, which will allow you to instantly down survivors and pick them up, or the hag who can teleport to them and allow you to quickly chain hits. Hell, even the slowdown isn't as good as the clown, since he can use it to throw his bottles into the loop as survivors are running.
It used to make sense because you didn't slow down when you placed them. So even though they weren't as effective as the other traps in the game, you kind of got value because you didn't slow down while you placed them. Now you slow down while you place them, so they're a fair bit weaker.
To it and slow them down, making it more dangerous, while Freddy needs to already be in the loop.
Like imagine if like while you were like readying your bottle as clown, like you slowed down a significant amount. Like you were just like you just suddenly become really slow. Like that's what Freddy has.
Set down his traps. Then his dream pallets, which are an objectively worse version of the Doctor's pallets.
Yep.
The Doctor has an add-on set that makes it so that destroyed pallets can respawn as an illusion for the survivors. Yet this add-on doesn't replace the Doctor's power, but instead adds on to his power and makes it stronger, just like how Freddy should. Instead of being able to toggle between snares and pallets like how the clown can toggle between his two powers, he just gets one or the other for some reason. Then there's the fact that his power just doesn't feel like the power Freddy Krueger should have.
Yep.
See, other licensed killers feel like how you'd expect them to. Cannibal swings his chainsaw in front of him wildly like in the movies. Nemesis is a relentless, unstoppable force that as he mutates gets stronger.
I mean, Nemesis has weapons in the game. That's kind of like his main shtick is that he's smart enough. He's a zombie tyrant who's smart enough to use weapons because he's piloted by a parasite that's actually smart. So, I mean, he can do the tentacle stuff in the game, but like the main like character trait of Nemesis is that he can use weapons. So, I wouldn't say that.
Stronger, and playing pallets isn't safe against him anymore. Myers stalks his prey, Pinhead uses his chains to annoy and torment survivors. You could go on and on about how licensed killers have powers that fit the character. But Freddy just turned into a guy who goes around and places bloody screaming traps. I can understand the dream pallets, and those actually fit, since he is the master of dreams, a dream demon. But blood snares? I haven't watched the movie, and I don't know if that's something he does.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally in the the poster. Is there's a scene where she's trying to crawl through a hallway, and the hallway is just flooded with blood, and yeah, it's a thing. But it's not done well in DBD. It's not a good translation.
movie, but it doesn't feel like Freddy Krueger. The only thing that makes this Freddy is the fact that he puts survivors to sleep and can make fake pallets. But that's it. The funny thing is that Freddy Krueger is the boogeyman, right? Yet the Dredge is also...
No, Myers is the boogeyman. Watch the film! They always call Myers the boogeyman! Sorry.
Inspired by the boogeyman, and they made the Dredge so much better. One of the best killers Dead by Daylight has ever made. Both of them are killers who, after a while, affect the survivors with an alternate world sort of effect, the Dream World and the Nightfall. Both can teleport around the map to a select few points, the generators and the lockers, and both sort of place something, where the Dredge places his remnant.
I've never realized this connection.
And Freddy can
they are very similar.
Both of them are based off the boogeyman, but Dredge beats out Freddy in every way, shape, and form. It's not even a competition. Freddy's power is just a waste of potential and not utilizing his whole dream demon, master of dreams. He can make illusions out of anything, make fake survivors, fake generators, you name it. He just doesn't utilize his dream master potential. So now, in conclusion, since the beginning, Freddy has been hit with nerf after nerf to his entire kit from the beginning. From his power to his add-ons, and never got love from anyone. The devs nerfed him, the license holders never gave him outfits or told the devs to not make him suck anymore, the players don't like him at all. This is surprising since licensed killers are what make money in Dead by Daylight. They are the breadwinners, the big events. Just like how when the Resident Evil DLC first came out, it gave the game the biggest spike in its player base history. And Wesker is still one of the most loved and most played killers in the game, while Nightmare on Elm Street is a far cry from that, on the literal opposite end of the spectrum. This chapter has since the beginning been an unloved, forgotten waste of potential for the so-called Dream Demon. And one thing everyone knows about Freddy is that if you don't fear him, he has no power over you and slowly goes away. Just like how since no one fears him anymore,
I mean, Wesker's fun to play, just not against. Fun to play as, incredibly fun to play as. Incredibly fun to play as, just like not at all against. Yeah, Freddy is just forever going to be one of the biggest bungles in DVD history. It's just always going to be. And it's always so sad just to go back and just see. I mean, like, even if you do go back, like, let's live in our imaginary world here. Let's live in our dream world. Haha. Let's live in our dream world. Where we go back and we do say, hey, let's make him more like Clown, where he can just use both of his powers and just, you know, press a button to switch back and forth between them. He's still boring, right? Like, that makes him more effective. That makes him more potent of a killer. It brings him out of, like, D tier. Like, here, let's actually do this real quick. Look at everyone. Yeah, that'll be the way we define these. Needs, updates, reworks, the most. Oh my god, don't do that. I don't like how reworks is like split up like that. But yeah, so we were asking about this earlier. Hold on. Let me get my face out of the way here. We were being asked about this earlier, like who we think are like the best killers. Need that link? Okay, yeah. Boop. Just for perspective, Trapper needs updates and a rework. Wraith, all right, notable struggles. Billy, all right, notable struggles. Nurse, the best. Myers needs an update. I think Hag is very good with a good, like, somebody like with specialized players, like people who like specialize in that character. Yeah. Doctor, good, notable struggles. Huntress, very good with specialized players. Bubba, all right, has notable struggles. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we'll just put them there for now. We'll figure out later. Freddy, we're gonna save because I want to show you. This is the reason I'm doing this, is so we can see Freddy in comparison to them. Pig, bare bones struggles a lot. Clown, yeah, I would say he's still an Admiral character. He still struggles a lot. He's probably at the top of this, but yeah. Spirit, one of the best. Legion, all right, but has notable struggles. That being when people spread out and that sort of thing. Plague, very good with a specialized player. Ghostface, struggles a lot. I think when it comes, he has just an M1 killer and his power is very finicky. Demo's all right with notable struggles. Oni, very good, especially the specialized player. Deathslinger, all right, but has notable struggles. Pyramid Head, Put him at the end of A. Very good, especially with people that can flick and stuff. Oh, yeah. Blight, second best in the game. Twins, all right, but has notable struggles. Mostly just quality of life and feeling like garbage to play. Barebone struggles a lot for Trickster, yeah. Nemesis, all right, but if people keep cleansing and denying you your power, you're going to kind of, you know, you're going to be reinfecting people, wasting a lot of time. Pinhead, once again, a good team can kind of like, your global is really strong, but like if you get a good team about that's good about denying it, that can be troublesome for you. Artist, very good, especially specialized players, like we were saying earlier. Sadako, I think before people got popularized with, yeah, I feel like I'll still put her bare bones struggles a lot, because I would consider the bare bones condemned strat, and she struggles a lot with her base. Her base kit, she struggles a lot, but like the bare bones, quote unquote, would be her condemned. Dredge, we'll put him in like B. He has notable struggles. It's mostly based on map design, right? It's mostly based on map design. I would put him above the chainsaw characters. He has notable. He has yeah, and this is all liquid. We will change this as we go. I'm just trying to do this so we can show Freddy comparatively is the point. Yeah, hey AP, how's it going? Yeah, we're trying to do like a very like quick tier list to kind of show like Freddy and where he fits into all this, because we just watched a Freddy video. I think I would put him over Yawk. Maybe even Legion. Yeah, I think that's a good place for him. Wesker, very, very good in the hands of a specialized player. Very, very good. Just watch Allran sometimes. Allran I can. Very, 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 very awesome Wesker player. Shows a lot of the crazy things that this character can do. Not even using Wesker's best add-ons most of the time. Imagine if Allran actually like used Wesker's best add-ons. How cracked they would be. Right, there's a B tier? Yeah. He has built-in map mobility and a lunge, and he synergizes really, really well with the kick perks of the current meta. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Knight, I'll put him at the bottom of B. He is all right when he 3-gens, but outside of 3-genning, he's terrible. He's like Sadako, except slightly. Like his gen defense, like his alternative thing, like this. There is a group of 3 killers that I will put down here. It is, hold on, let me move Freddy out of the way real quick. This is not where I'm going to put him. These 3 down here, where my head is, these 3 are the I suck unless I play like a jerk. These are the I suck but I play like a jerk and I'm suddenly good, like, group. Like, my base kit is so terrible that I have to find this really, really special niche way to play, and once I do that niche way to play, I'm suddenly just an obnoxious, awful to face character. That is their group. So let's go ahead and reorganize them. So Knight, I would put the bottom of there. If he's doing his 3-gen strat, obnoxious, but he can't do much outside of it. And a good, Swift will outlast you, even you holding the game hostage. Skull Merchant, let's see, we'll put her back. Skull Merchant's kind of like the same deal, except I think she does it worse. I think unless you're on a 2-story map, she can't do what he can, even though they play the same strat. She has no help in chase, and she has, unless it's a 2-floor map, you can't really, like, it's really map dependent, I think. Knight can kind of do his shenanigans on most maps where he's holding a 3-gen. It's kind of more map dependent, even though she can kind of do the same thing. Yeah, and then Freddy's like, Freddy was the point of this. I think Freddy's like back here. Like, he does have anti-chase and map mobility, but he's really bare bones, and he does struggle a lot. And he doesn't have any notable add-ons. His power is there, but not really that functional. Like, I don't know. I'd probably put Trickster above Pig. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably put Trickster above Pig. Is Trickster better? Is Clown better than Trickster? Or Trickster better than Clown? I'm starting to think about Trickster all of a sudden, sorry. We'll do that for now. But yeah. His power is really, really bare bones. And it's just, He just doesn't do a lot. Clown's slightly better. You think so? Mobility's not there. Yeah, but Clown doesn't really. He has the speed bottles, but they're not. They're very marginal. We'll worry about that later. Yeah, we'll worry about this later. Clown's faster. Yeah, but his. Wait, but you're saying Trickster can't anti-loop? You're saying Clown can anti-loop, but Trickster can't anti-loop? Wait, AP? What do you mean Trickster can't anti-loop? That's his only power. What do you mean? Trickster can't anti-loop. That's the only thing he does is anti-loop. What you talking about, Willis? What you on about over there? That's literally all he does. He just pelts you with knives until you lose. Against Big Walsey, that's the asterisk. That's a map dependent thing. Because I would argue that Trickster's better than Clown on maps that don't have those giant walls and huge populace. But if they do, then Clown's better. Yeah, Trickster's also extremely good at camping too, which Clown doesn't really have that capability. Yeah, anyways, the reason we were doing this is to show that, like, that theoretically puts him in the bottom 5 characters, right? Which is kind of like... That's kind of disheartening, right? That's kind of disheartening to see that Freddy is like these are the two characters that I think need the most updates in the game. Is like Trapper and Myers. They're playing 2016, 2017 DBD in 2023. They need to be updated very sorely, and he's just barely hanging outside of that. Like, he has a modern power, but it really is, you know, as the tier is listed, bare bones. He has a bare bones power. He is the epitome of this rank. He has a bare bones power that doesn't really do a whole lot for him. And it's really sad. Trapper did get changed, barely though. Barely. He I'm not saying it didn't help him. I will still take that over nothing, but he's still playing a 2017 style of killer in 2023, even if he does it slightly more efficiently, right? Like, he's not in line with any of these people. Put Pyramid Head over to play, just noticing that. Or Huntress, yeah. We'll do... Yeah, 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 we'll do that. More quality of life? Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking, Titanic. They're more quality of life. Like, he still fundamentally plays the same game, but he's just, you know, better at it. You know? So, yeah. But the point being of this was not to create, like, a solid tier list. It's, like, super tight-knit and whatever, and, like, I super thought it out. But, like, just at a glance, like, Freddy is bottom 5 in the game. Like, even Pig is better at this point. Pig has more consistent value out of her traps. She actually has a meaningful stealth ability, not just the obliviousness. Like, and she has, like, I don't know. I feel like I would still take the snares over her dash, but her dash can be better in certain situations. Like, we were still arguing over, like, Clown and Trickster. Her dash can be better in certain situations than the snares. So, yeah. What world are you living in where you look at Pig and go, I'd rather play Pig over another character in the game? What world are you living in? If you look at Pig, you're like, I'd rather play that. I'd rather play that than another character. You are in a bad spot, in my opinion, if Pig is looking more appetizing. That's a killer to play than something else. Yeah, so Freddy really does struggle a lot, and he does need like even in the fake world that we live in, where like he could switch like Clown's bottles, he could switch between pallets and snares. I feel like he would only be like up here, right? Like, he wouldn't realistically change that much. You just have a little bit more utility. He'd probably be better than Danny, maybe not even better than like a full-on condemned Sadako, right? Like, he would still only be up here. This wouldn't really fix him. He would only realistically go over some of the meh killers that are right here.